Doing a reading video here today from Strange Tales from Japan. 99 chilling stories of yokai, ghosts, demons, and the supernatural. I did do a reading of this in the past, but it's been a little while. Good tapping sound. I'm just going to pick some random ones out of here. You might be hearing some wind or rain in the background. We're in the midst of getting some heavy thunderstorms. So, maybe that will add to it, I don't know. Let's see what I can find. Let's do this one. The Honored Fox God. I don't know if I'm going to have some of these I read in the first one. I don't know. A long time ago in the ancient province of Iyo, there lived a lord by the name of Kono Michiyoshi. One day Michiyoshi went to his wife's room only to be dismayed at finding there were two women in the room, both claiming to be his wife. From their faces to their gestures to their voices, they were identical. The Lord, as might be imagined, was quite shocked. What? He asked neither one in particular. Do you have a twin? Not at all, one of the women responded. And I don't have older or younger sisters either. Well then, who is this other woman? Michiyoshi inquired. My lord, what are you saying? The other woman interjected. It is I who am your real wife. No, I'm your wife, the first woman broke in. That woman is an imposter. Michiyoshi became more and more confused. The more he looked at the two women, the more they seemed completely identical. And there was absolutely no way he could distinguish one from the other. This is terrible, he thought. What if this is what they used to call the split soul disease? And then on the bottom, real quickly, get a little, whatever they call it, amendment or whatever. The split soul disease occurs when the soul divides into two and one half takes on another body, or when the yang soul separates from the body, leaving only the yin soul and takes on another body. Ri means to be divided from, while Kan means the yang soul as distinguished from the yin soul. Back to it. Michiyoshi quickly sent for a famous doctor to have the women examined, but that learned the man could find no cause for this predicament either. Finally, Michiyoshi decided to shut each woman in a separate room and see what he could find out from there. Even if they looked exactly alike, he reasoned, if I separate them, I should be able to find some discrepancy one way or the other. For some time, he carefully watched exactly how each of one ate their meals, and even how each one slept. After a while, one of them did indeed seem to look a little suspicious. One day, the wife in question began to roll the sweet potato on her plate over and over again. Then, in what seemed to be a bit of confusion, she picked it up with her fingers and popped it into her mouth. Michiyoshi thought, this, without a doubt, is the imposter. My wife would never eat anything with her fingers. He then ordered one of his retainers to tie up the woman. Aha! Michiyoshi declared. You are indeed the imposter. Confess or I'll cut your head off. With this, he unsheathed his sword and brandished it in the woman's face. Having had her head cut off was not a pleasant prospect, so the woman who insisted that she was the Lord's true wife finally transformed herself into the form of a white fox, tail and all. Just what I thought. You're a fox, Michiyoshi shouted. How could you dare have tricked me? Completely outraged, he lifted up his sword and was ready to cut off the fox's head. Just at that moment, however, there was a great commotion at the front of the castle. A large crowd of foxes who had transformed themselves into human shapes had approached the castle gate and were very upset. Please, Lord Michiyoshi, they implored. Please don't kill the fox before you. He's actually Kiko. I'm going to butcher some of these names. Myojin, the honored fox god and the leader of all the foxes on the island of Shikoku. If you kill this fox, all manner of disaster may befall you. Think for a moment. One of their representatives continued, how miraculous his power of transformation is. Why, he even fooled a great lord like yourself. We beg you not to kill him. The foxes made such a plea that Michioshi was quite moved. "All right," he said, "if he's such a great leader, I will forgive him just this once. But all of you are banished from the island of Shikoku. I cannot permit you to live here any longer." So saying, Michioshi released the fox, and this is why there are no foxes on Shikoku, even to this day. This is Tanuki and foxes, this little section. There are some pictures in here as well. Let's find something else. Unfortunate people. The Mirror of Matsuyama. This is unfortunate people. Long ago in the ancient province of Echigo, in a place called Matsuyama, there lived a man and his wife and their daughter. Although the woman was ill, her husband was ordered by the emperor to go to the capital. When in the morning of his departure finally came, he called his daughter to his room. "When your mother is no longer ill," he said quietly, "I will come back to you. But until then, please take good care of her." "Father, please," the young girl cried. "I want to go to the capital too." Now, her father consoled her. "Take good care of your mother so you both can come to the capital soon." So saying, the man left for the capital. Years passed by and the girl's mother became increasingly ill. Her father, however, was terribly busy at his duties and was able to return home. Then one day, her mother called her to her bedside. "I'm afraid I'm not going to live much longer," the woman said in a weak voice. "Oh God, please take good care of your father." Having said this, she reached underneath her pillow and took out a pale copper mirror wrapped in cloth. "Your father bought this mirror for me a long time ago," she whispered. "If you want to see me after I've passed on, take out this mirror and look into it. I'll always be right there." "No, mother," the girl wailed. "I don't want you to die." The girl held her mother's pale, thin hand and cried. But after a short while, her mother passed away. The girl now lived completely alone, and thinking of her mother every day, she did nothing but shed tears. Then one day, she missed her mother so much that she took out the mirror, unwrapped the cloth, and looked into it. There in the very center was her mother's face. "Oh, mother," she said aloud. The young girl was beside herself and broke into a smile. In the mirror, her mother did the same. In this way, the girl lived from day to day, and when she became inconsolably sad, she would take out the mirror and look at her mother's face. At long last, the girl's father heard about his wife's death and returned from the capital, bringing with him a new wife. "Uh-oh. How painful your life must have been," he said, embracing his daughter and spilling many tears. "Please forgive me." The girl buried her face in her father's breast and cried in a long, soft sobs. How many years had she longed for him? The sorrow she had had to bear for so long rose to the surface again and again. "I'm not leaving you alone ever again," her father said softly while stroking her face. "This time I'm taking you back to the capital with me, and this is your new mother." With that, he turned around and faced the woman seated behind him. But in an instant, the young girl pushed her father away and jumped to her feet. "No," she yelled adamantly. "I don't want anything to do. I don't want to do anything like going to the capital." And saying something else, she ran to her room. Soon it would be time for her father to return to the capital, but no matter how he scolded or cajoled, I hate that word, the girl made no attempt to get along with his new wife. Confounded, he finally consulted his new wife. "What in the world am I going to do?" he asked in despair. "Don't you have any good ideas?" "Well, it's clear she doesn't like me at all," his wife grumbled. "But we can't just let things go along like this. I'm going to let her know that right now." His new wife would hear nothing to the contrary and went straight to the young girl's room. "What are you doing here every day?" she demanded. "Nothing," the girl replied nervously, hit the mirror behind her back. "No. If you're not doing anything, why don't you come out then?" The new wife continued glaring at the girl. "Don't you like me?" "No, it's not that," the girl replied hesitantly. Just then her father came in and spied the mirror she was hiding behind her. "Why," he said with an angry look, "isn't that the mirror I gave to your mother? What are you doing with it?" The girl then broke down in tears. "I was visiting with my mother," she sobbed. "Just before she died, she told me if I wanted to see her, all I had to do was look in this mirror." "Ah, I see." He now looked at her with a different expression, for his daughter's face was exactly like that of his dead wife's. The girl looked into the mirror, seen her own face, and truly thought it was her mother's. When he considered the tender heart of his wife, his breast filled with emotion. There's nothing more I can do, he thought. I'll just have to leave things as they are for a while, as he quietly left the room. When his new wife heard this, however, she got angrier than before. I refused to let her look into that mirror again, she shouted, and with that forcefully took the mirror from the girl's hand. Without the mirror, the young girl could no longer see her mother. And how could she call a woman who would take such an important thing away from her, her mother? If she could not meet her real mother, she would rather die. Quietly slipping out of the house, the young girl went down to the edge of the nearby pond. The surface of the pond was cold and clear as the mirror. There she could see her mother's face, perfectly reflected. "Oh, mother," she whispered softly. Then, without a second thought, she leapt into the pond. It is said from time to time it has been known as Mirror Pond. Here we go. Book 2 is Strange Tales. Some more pictures. Let me get a slug of water here. Oh, where was I? The Bleached Skull's Invitation. These events occurred over 1,300 years ago. At the Gankoji, a temple in Nara, there was a famous priest by the name of Dotu. One day, accompanied by his retainer Maro, Jutu, like I said, I apologize if anybody pronounces, they can pronounce these things properly. I'm sure I'm saying most of them wrong. Doju set out for the pass at Mount Narazaka. By the side of the road, there's a bleached skull that people often stepped on or kicked away. I don't know where the skull came from, said the priest, but he is ashamed to just leave it here, and he had Maro pick it up and place it on top of a small tree. Toward the end of the year, a man walked up to the temple. "I'd like to talk with Master Dotu's disciple Maro," the man declared. Maro had no idea who this might be, but nevertheless came out to meet the man. "Thanks to you," the man began, politely bowing his head. "I'm now quite happy. This evening, I would like to repay you for your favor, so please come with me." Maro could not guess what this was all about, but the man was so fervent in his request that he followed along behind him. When they arrived at the man's house, the front door was tightly closed, but inside the preparations for a feast had been laid out with care. "Well now," the man said happily, "please don't be shy. Eat as much as you like." The man asked Maro to sit down in front of the plate and ate what turned out to be quite a delicious meal along with him. Maro forgot any misgivings he might have had and ate, as though in a trance. By the time they had finished the meal and sat back to rest, it was about midnight. Suddenly the man began to fidget. "My older brother who murdered me is coming here soon," he warned. "You should leave right away." "What are you saying?" Maro asked with surprise. "Are you telling me you're dead?" "Yes," the man answered anxiously. "The bleached skull you kindly picked up on Mount Narasaka was mine." "What?" the Maro exclaimed, in spite of himself. "Please don't be too shocked," the man continued. "The truth is that my elder brother and I had gone out on a business together, and I managed to make a profit of about 40 caddies. Caddies, Japanese kin, about 1 1/3 pounds of silver. My elder brother, however, made no profit at all. He wanted the silver for himself, so he murdered me and ran away with everything. From that time, my body was left there by the roadside, kicked and stepped on by passers-by, until all that remained was my skull. Completely unexpectedly, you kindly picked up my skull and put it out of the way. Now I'm happy again." Once again, the man bowed his head before Maro. "Being siblings of this family, your elder brother has done a terrible thing. Perhaps I can do something for you," Maro concluded, straightening himself as he sat. Just at that moment, the front door opened. The man's elder brother and mother entered the house. The man himself became extremely flustered and ran out the back door. The mother and elder brother, it seems, had come to pray for the dead man's spirit and were taken aback to see Maru sitting there. Morrow made them listen to everything that happened. "What is this?" the mother cried so shockingly she nearly collapsed. "It wasn't a highway robber who killed him after all. Why, you're no kind human being at all to kill your own little brother." With that, her voice faded away, and all you could hear were her sobs as she beat her older son with confused blows. "No matter how much you cry, Maru," they then said tenderly, "you cannot bring your younger son back to life. Rather, you should pray for his salvation." The mother then raised her head, nodded in agreement, and turned toward the elder brother. "But you," she said flatly, "you had better pray for your murdered brother's soul for the rest of your life." The elder brother, as hardened as he was, suddenly was frightened of the crime he had committed, although it could never be undone. He spent the rest of his days, it seems, intoning the Nembutsu for the repose of his younger brother's soul. Ghost requests, we have another half. Shape-shifting cats, nice. Let's do the cat's return of favor. A long time ago, in a certain place, there was a household that kept a cat. The cat was extraordinarily gentle, and would only rarely steal food that was not its own. Once, however, it stole a fish that had been prepared for an elaborate dinner. This angered the master of the house so much that he threw one of the hearth tongs at the cat, which put out one of its eyes. The cat let out a terrifying screech and ran away. "Now I've done it," the master thought, turning pale. Although he went wandering, he went around the entire neighborhood, searching low and high. The cat was nowhere to be found. A number of years passed, and one day it was necessary for the master to make a journey. His business over, he was on his way home through a broad plain when the sun went down. "Uh-oh," he said to himself, "there must be a place to stay somewhere around here." As he looked around the area, he suddenly spied a faint light off in the distance. "Ah, I'm saved," he muttered. "Perhaps they'll let me stay there tonight." The master trudged off in the direction of the light, and eventually, amidst thick weeds, stood a rather splendid mansion. Good evening," he shouted, as soon a one-eyed lady appeared from within. "May I help you?" she asked politely. "The sun is going down. I have no place to stay," the master replied. "May I spend the night here?" "Why, yes, please do," the one-eyed woman replied. "That would be no trouble at all." The one-eyed woman kindly led him into the house, prepared a bath, and gave him a nice meal. As it turned out, he was being very well taken care of, and he relaxed now, completely at ease. At that, the one-eyed woman came into his room. "Master, you know who I am?" she asked with some courtesy. "I'm not sure," he responded curiously. "How have you forgotten already?" she continued. "I'm the cat you took good care of for so long. Look, this is the eye you put out when you threw the tongue at me." The master was in shock and sat up straight. "Is that so?" he said apologetically. "Please forgive me. I only wanted to threaten you when I threw the tongue." "I know that," the woman said quietly. "It was I who did wrong, stealing a fish when you had taken such good care of me." Hearing this, the master heaved a sigh of relief. The woman, however, suddenly became quite serious. "The fact is," she whispered, "this is the house of a ferocious cat. A monster that traps people and eats them. You must get out of this place as quickly as possible. There are cats on the lookout all around the house. Once you go outside, stones will rain down on you, but no matter what happens, you must run fast and be careful not to fall. If you fall, you'll be killed and eaten." The master turned pale, nervously put his pack together. "Thank you for taking such good care of me for so long," the woman sighed. "I'm afraid that when the other cats here find out that I've told you the secret, they'll kill you in the morning. But go now, as fast as you can." "They'll kill me, sorry. I'm afraid that when the other cats find out the secret that I've told you this, they'll kill me in the morning. But go now as fast as you can." And with that, she bit off her own tongue and died. "I'm so grateful to you. Please do forgive me," the master said under his breath, putting his hands together in a farewell prayer. Then he bounded outside. Just as the cat had said, stones came down on him like rain. But the master just ran and ran, taking care not to stumble even once, and in the end, reached home unhurt. There's more foxes, friendly ghosts. The ghost ship. Let's finish with the cat's big pumpkin. Many years ago, a cat was being kept in a certain person's home. One day, the lady of the house was sitting in front of the mirror putting on her makeup when the cat came up to her. "Goodness," the cat said, "how pretty you are." This is the first time the cat had spoken words, and the woman rushed to where her husband was. "This is horrible," she said breathlessly. "Our cat is some sort of apparition." "That's nonsense," the man replied, refusing to be bothered. "You're seeing things." "No, I'm sure it's an apparition," she insisted. "If it isn't, how could it be speaking words? I'll tell you, something terrible happened just now." "All right, then, I'll kill it," the man declared, surprised at his wife's agitation. He thereupon killed the cat and buried it in the vegetable garden in the back of the house. The following year, a large pumpkin bigger than anyone had ever seen grew at the place where the cat had been buried. "This must be the result of having killed that ghost cat," the man thought to himself. Quite satisfied with himself, he brought the pumpkin inside and served it to his family. They instantly ate the pumpkin. However, the entire household became sick. Everyone's stomachs hurt, and their groans sounded like the pitiful mewing of cats. The doctor was called immediately, and he gave them medicine, but this had no effect at all. "This must be some sort of divine punishment," someone suggested. At that point, one of the neighbors brought in a woman conjurer. The woman went through her trance, and found that, sure enough, this was a divine punishment of some sort. "Do you remember killing a living being sometime in the past?" she asked the husband, who was lying on his sickbed. "The fact is, I killed the cat we were keeping and buried it in the vegetable garden," he responded in pain. "That's it," the conjurer said. "The cat bore you a bitter grudge and had you eat the pumpkin." The neighbors quickly brought a hoe and went to the vegetable garden at the back of the house, clearing away the vine of the pumpkin and digging up its roots. They found the skeleton of the cat. The pumpkin vine had been growing directly from its mouth. "What do you know?" they all agreed. "It's just like the conjurer said." With that, the neighbors dug a grave for the cat, placed its skeleton inside, and said a prayer after they had covered the grave. Strangely enough, the husband and his wife and all their household recovered immediately. Oh, can I squeeze another one in here? Let's go backwards. More bits. Trying to find a short one there. Oh, they're all short, but come on, come on. Unfortunate people. This is a short one. Atome, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Atome Pass. There's a section of an old path crossing Hakone in Kanagawa Prefecture called Atome Pass. Excuse me. Long ago, it took hours to cross this pass. Recently, however, a fine road has been constructed, and a traveler can cross it in about 10 minutes. Many years ago, there was a young woman named Atome who lived in a farmhouse quite near this place. Her father was ill, but she remained good-natured and was beautiful besides. Moreover, she was popular with the young men of the village and received numerous proposals to make her a bride. Atome, however, would slip out of the house in the middle of the night and go off somewhere unbeknown to anyone. Her sick father wondered where she went every night and became quite worried. He said nothing about his concern, however, and Atome continued going out every night and sometimes not returning until dawn. Yet when he heard a rumor that his daughter had found a boyfriend and was going out to see him every night, he could no longer keep silent. One snowy night, when Atome had quickly left the house, her father got up from his bed and secretly followed her. Atome's footprints left clear traces in the snow, but as snow continued to fall harder and harder, her father found it difficult, even painful to walk. As angry as he was, however, he simply ground his teeth and kept climbing the path step by step. Following his daughter's footsteps, he finally arrived at the top of the pass. There at the side of the road, someone had fallen into a hole in the snow and was struggling to get out. Looking carefully, he could see that it was his daughter, Otome. Instinctively, he drew near to help, but suddenly thought the better of it. No, wait a moment, he said to himself. This is probably divine retribution for having deceived her father, done some bad thing. Thus he passed her by her with a look of indifference. Reasoning that she was on her way back from the direction in which she was going, he crossed over the pass and continued down the other side. At the bottom, he found her footsteps stopped in front of a small temple dedicated. I am not going to say this right. Dedicated to the Bodhisattva Jizo. What in the world was she doing here? Otome's father wondered, and woke up the old man who lived in the temple. Surely he would know. Ah, yes, that young lady. The old man began. I saw her just a little while ago, and what an admirable young lady she is. Every night she comes here and prays that her sick father will get well again. Despite rain and wind, she hasn't missed a single day. Tonight is exactly the 100th time she's come here to pray. The old man talked on and on about what a praiseworthy young lady Otome was. Can this be so? Her father said quietly to himself. What a fool I was to believe the villager's rumor. Running back in panic to the place where he had last seen Otome, he found that she had been buried in the falling snow. With all his strength, he pulled her from the hole, but it was too late. She was already dead. Otome, he cried, please forgive me, holding his daughter's cold body to his breast. He shed tears that never seemed to end. The villagers deeply regretted having spread such an irresponsible rumor, and from that time on, called this place Otome Pass. There you go. This is a cool book. I got this off Amazon a couple of years ago, I believe. I don't think I read any of those in the last one, but I very well might have. But that was a while ago. But yeah, this is just a reading book. Well, I guess. A reading vid here today from Strange Tales.